on this computer. Welcome to the Dr. Tom Show. I'm super excited today to have one of my great friends, my coach, a mentor of mine, join us today to share some of his strategies, tips, and mindset tools as to how you can make your life more successful, abundant, happy, and fulfilled. And Ryan really does have a wealth of experience around this. So we've just heard about how successful he is at the moment, but I know he hasn't always come from those beginnings, and he does have a quite humble start in life. So Ryan, I'd love for our audience if you could just share with us, where you've come from, and then we can get into today's topic about what we can do right now to really make a difference.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Tom. It's a real honor to be here. I always love being able to do what I love, which is this, and teach and share. So first of all, thank you so much. And then thanks so much for all you do. You know, I've been watching everything that you've been doing and how you're growing and how your influence and impact's growing. And it's very interesting for me, you know, you recently posted a picture of your tribe and how your tribe is growing. And I believe that teachers are the best leaders. And you can see how people are gravitating towards that, specifically in the times we're going through right now. So I just want to honor you for all you're doing at the moment and how many people you're helping. So great job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So let me, I'll go straight into my background a bit. Is those of you listening to this or coming across for the first time, originally from South Africa, and I live in the United Kingdom, because I know there's people listening to this from all over the world. Yeah, we didn't come from, it's funny when I say we definitely had challenging youth in financial terms to some degree, but in other degrees, I had the most blessed youth you could ever imagine. So let me give you some context. My parents are entrepreneurs. Business, you've got good times in business and you've got some not so good times. And our journey was that we had the experience of going through not one, but two bankruptcies. So from that perspective, I've rarely experienced what it's like to have those challenges. I think that's definitely, I think the founder of Intel said that only the paranoid survive. And I think naturally going through, not one, but two bankruptcies as a child, it certainly instilled in me a certain level of paranoia, healthy paranoia, by the way, that has driven me to a lot of, I don't know if we broke up there, Tom.
We did a little bit, but it's fine.
Okay, so fine.
You're back. Yeah.
It's driven me to make a lot of my business decisions and life decisions and multiple income decisions. So we always looked at that time as a blessing. But yeah, we certainly didn't come from, there was no family money. My parents were actually really good at starting businesses and getting businesses running. And then we had some financial challenges. So I kind of grew up in this world of around entrepreneurship. My parents were never employed. None of my parents have ever been, really had a job. They've always been, if you will, entrepreneurs, etc. So we had, there was times where we had extreme wealth and amazing houses and homes. And then we had times where we're living in, someone's back garden in a makeshift garage. So I've had the being around, the businesses with 50 team members, etc. And I was the little kid running around. My parents had restaurants and clothing stores and did very well with that. But then we had some difficult challenges too. So I kind of experienced both sides of the coin. I definitely wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the lessons I learned from being around my dad and my mom when it comes to entrepreneurship and business, even though they had failed, but that is business. You're going to have ups and downs. So mixed bag there that I really think is one of my kind of secret weapons in that I've experienced a bit of money and as a child, and I've experienced no money. I've had both within short spaces of time. And boy, I'd much rather have a little bit of money and success than the other.
I agree. But I'm really intrigued on that point, if you may. What do you think drives people more? Do you think it's the fear, or do you think it's the luxury? And I do see a lot of people who don't have a story wanting to kind of portray that they've got some hardship or try and find a hardship to move forward. What do you think? Do you think people need that, or do you think there's something else?
Yeah, I think that it's a great question. I think that okay, so I can only bring this into terms of now bringing up two kids. So I've got two, kind of carry on with my story really, and I've got a beautiful wife. I've one of five generational chiropractors, which I'll talk about in a moment, and I've got two beautiful kids. One's nearly 3, and the other one is nearly like 5 months, around there. And I will say that it's funny because I know that those hardships drove me to have a lot of the drive and the determination and the healthy paranoia that I have. Um, but then I certainly don't want that for my kids.
Yeah.
So it's like I would never want them to go through what I went through. But then as a parent, and if you're a parent watching this, I certainly don't know the answers. I'm not saying I know the answers. The battle that I have as a parent is going, how much pain, because I believe from pain comes a lot of, no one really changes until the pain of where we're at is great enough. We like, that's why, and I'm sure we're gonna go down that direction in a moment. That's why, good times breed complacency, good times breed laziness, good times breed the false sense of security. And if there's anything like the current state of affairs to have shocked us into that realization, it's going to be now. And we're having this interview in the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown, if you will. So I think that pain is you can choose how you get the lesson from it. But I know for me, I certainly don't think I would be quite as driven had I not had some of those challenges. Had life always been super, super easy, then maybe I wouldn't. But I don't know, because maybe if I'd come from a household where the opposite was true, I haven't. Most times, you're right. I see some people who have gone to achieve like really certain, in certain industries, exceptional things, have had some level of hardship in the past. But as a parent, that's really a tough challenge, because you don't really necessarily want that for your kids. So where's the balance? And I don't know the answers. But yeah, that's my background anyway.
I appreciate you sharing that, and that's a really interesting concept when you bring the kids into it. But maybe if they grow up in a successful environment, maybe their expectation is just success. So maybe that's another great sort of provider and learning tool for them to move forward, as opposed to falling back into the pain. Maybe it's
Yeah,
expectation.
I think I know Emma, and my daughter knows that I work, and I enjoy working. I love what I do. It's not a burden for me. I am. I think. You're going to be able to relate to this, is that I'm kind of funny beasts. We're kind of like, the saying, and forgive me for my language, but the saying is happy as a pig in, what.
Yeah.
That's kind of an entrepreneur. If you take an entrepreneur, and it's like, I kind of like a crisis. I know it sounds a little bit sick, if you will, kind of like us. But if you look at an entrepreneur, we're kind of happiest when we're in shit a little. And what I mean by shit is like, when we're creating, when we've got challenges to solve. If you take an entrepreneur, most of the times, and you put them in a beautiful meadow, the sun's shining, there's a beautiful brook, life is just like, we're kind of miserable. We're like, this is much. We're challenging. Like, so we're happiest when we are like having to hustle at times, having to do the thing. And I recently went to a conference. I think it's Gene Kelly, the guy from Kiss, the famous band. And the guy, they're all painted in white with a long tongue and whatever. But famous rock band, and if you're in America, you'll.
I love it.
And it was an entrepreneurial conference, and he said something from stage that really struck me. He said, as he's growing, he's much older now, etc. He said, every day's a work day. Like every day's a work day. Like it's not because you have to. I mean, obviously he's made so much money now, and they're not working for money. It's every day's a work day. And one of my mentors, you listened to it the other day, Jane, one of my mentors, Jane Johnson.
Yeah.
She's in the latter, a little bit older, if you will, and she always says, she works every day. She works 7 days a week, not because she has to. Like, she's completely financially sound. There's not like she's worked with Robert Kiyosaki and people like that for years, and she's, the kids are grown up, and she says, I work 7 days a week, like, because I enjoy it. Like, I like it, So I think there's this idea that, and the statistics are actually that, that entrepreneurs, dead or heart attack within like it's something like within 2 years of retiring, your top CEOs of companies, like the top CEOs, the most high-flying CEOs on the planet, the statistic is like dead or heart attack within like 2 years of retiring. More than likely, if you're listening to this, you've come to Tom's world through something to do with health, wellness, chiropractic, and there's a concept called eustress, right? EU stress, which is like a certain level of stress that we need. You know, we like to survive. Like we have to have the stress to be better. And the analogy is like, you know, a silkworm becoming a butterfly, whatever it is, or within a cocoon. If you take that cocoon and if you see it struggling to get out of that cocoon, it's like struggling. It's looking like it's struggling. It's like it's a battle to get out of that cocoon and eventually become butterfly. If you help that silkworm and cut the cocoon, and prevent the struggle, the earthworm dies and doesn't become a butterfly. So it quite literally needs the struggle to become the butterfly. And I think we're the same as entrepreneurs and human beings in some way.
So true. And I think Sarah and I were talking about this, like business had been really pretty good, but since COVID things happened, the excitement's just come back, and I'm thriving on that. And interesting you say about the heart attacks when people retire. I remember hearing Les Brown say a while ago that the majority of heart attacks in America happen on a Monday morning, because literally people are dying to go to work to jobs that they hate.
Oh, got it.
The shift in the climate right now in terms of people are going to get laid off in this, and you know what, actually that breeds a huge amount of opportunity for a lot of people. So maybe we could just talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that might be out there now when this is happening. And, you know, with so much uncertainty, people do to keep certain and stay focused, or really dig into what, you know, they should be doing.
Cool. I think I'll probably take it a one step back from it. And, you know, there's a phrase that you've heard me say it many times, Tom, and it's been said to me many times, but the problem is never the problem. And it's like, you know, I know that what I'm going to say now even it may even rile a little bit of feathers, especially in the self-employed world. Is like, you know, I see so many people crying now that are self-employed, you know, crying, and it's like so unfair. And it's like, and you know, I'm actually busy writing an article right now on it. I really want to know the problem. You know, let's be honest, how many times have any of us been told that you should never have one form of income? How many times have all of us been told that, you know, being self-employed is like, you know, it's dangerous, you know? How many times have we been all told that, you know, the problem is not the problem? And we were just talking about this before the podcast is, you know, great times breed complacently, and they, you know, the saying is true, you know, a rising tide raises all ships. And it's only when the tide goes out, and it always goes out. We've had many years now, since 2008, of basically a bull market, and the best of times. The lowest unemployment rate in the United Kingdom we've ever had in the history of mankind, just about. In the US, it's the same. Lowest unemployment we've ever had in the history of mankind. So that's great, but all things that go up must also come down, and everyone acts as if the shit is never going to hit the fan. And I think so. That's the first thing I'd say, is that the problem is not the problem. And I think actually we are definitely going into recession, but this is probably going to be a cheap lesson. What I mean by cheap lesson is, I don't know, but I think that, I mean, many businesses are not. I read something this morning that said they think that over 40% of businesses will not make it through the next year, and small businesses. But I do think we may actually end up with a scenario where we enter into like the roaring 20s after the Great Depression. I think that might be fast tracked, and we may get through this quite quickly actually, but then we have another roaring period. But I really hope that everyone remembers this pain, because it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And now that governments and people like that know they can shut down a whole country, etc., because it's going to happen it's going to, the potential to shut down whole countries and stop commerce again is going to be more likely. So if you're self-employed, like, listen to this from the perspective of, it's not that I'm not, listen, I've had to close my 8 practices too, but I've got other forms of income coming in right now. And in a lot of ways, my life doesn't change. In fact, in one of my businesses, April's a record. Mm-hmm. It's a record. I will make more money in one of my businesses in April than the average salaries in most countries. Like, that's, from just one source, and then other sources coming in. So when I've been saying that for years, it hasn't been from a perspective of, yes, we make great money as self-employed people, etc. But remember, it's coming. Like, we always say, everyone looks like they've got swimming trunks on when the tide is up at the beach, but when the tide goes out, you see who's naked. So that's what we're going through now. So the lesson, I guess, what I'd like to get across to people right now is take this as a cheap lesson, because I think actually we'll all be fine. I do think that governments are going to prop us up for a little while, but there's going to be a lot of businesses that have a tough time now. But we're living in a different age. There's the internet. There is probably more money than people have ever had in their entire life. Banks have money, etc. Access to finance is going to be better than it's ever been. I mean, right now you can walk into the bank just about. I think actually today they're coming out with an announcement that they announced that you can have a 12-month interest-free loan, but what banks actually initially said was it's only if you don't qualify for the other loans. Today, our chancellor here in the United Kingdom is going to come out with something saying that's for, you can just walk into a bank now and you don't, even if you qualify for their normal loans, that you can get the interest-free loan, I think. So I don't, the announcement hasn't happened, but if that is true, that you can walk into a bank right now and you can get a 12-month interest-free loan, like, what is everyone crying about? There's so many opportunities. Access to funding is the best it's ever been. The precedence to do business online is the best it's ever been. And I'm empathetic to everyone that's lost the income, but we live in an age where you've got the best opportunities in your life to create something new for yourself. And it's not about creating something new for yourself. The best, I've had so many people contact me about, Ryan, how do I start a coaching business? How do I start a property business? How do I start this business? How do I start this business? Keith, can you help me? And I always say, look, it's not that I think you should be doing it now. The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But so now it's like, just stabilize your business, make sure the business is everything ready to go, so that when you come out of this is stronger. And yes, I do think you should pivot in the moment. On the place of, and I do have, I've got my thought process on it is, we're going into an era where I think the single most dangerous word is going to be the word entitlement. And I'll break that down for you. We've had 12 years or whatever it is of extreme entitlement. Like, believe me, if you're an employer, you understand that, employees wouldn't even realize it, but it's just part of the times. It's you can have anything you want. So I think as a business owner, the following word is the most dangerous word you could possibly, or variations of this, and it is, I shouldn't have to, I didn't need to, what got me here, but I didn't have to do that to get me here. I never used to have to do that, or variations of the phrase, I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to go call every single person in the diary. Yeah, well, you didn't have to, but now you do have to. Yeah, but I didn't need to do that to get to where I am now. Yep, you're right, you didn't, but now you do. Oh, I didn't need to know how to generate new patients from online strategies, etc. Yep, you didn't need to in the best economy in the history of mankind, but now you do. So the variations of that phrase, I shouldn't have to ism, is a plague that's gonna destroy businesses coming out. Any sense of entitlement from that perspective. And one of the things I've been teaching a lot about is reverse customer loyalty. To that point, is like, what are you doing for your customers to show your loyalty? What are you, like, any sense of entitlement when it comes to business right now is going to be really punished. And then from an employer's perspective, I think the following phrase is going to have a lot of people in trouble, if you will, and that is the phrase, that's not my job.
Yeah.
Like for the first time in a long time, employees are on exactly the same page as the employer, and that is, it's a fight. Like, There is no like there, whatever it takes to keep the business afloat. And it comes down to core values in your business, which I hope you have. If you don't, Tom can help you with that. He's a master at that. I think one of the things that I think you're really skilled at, Tom, is helping people with their own personal congruency and core values, as well as, and then it starts there, and then it goes into their business. So if you listen to this, you should get hold of Tom to help you with that. But if you don't have core values in your business, right now, the only reason that we've done a record in April for one of my businesses is because we just leaned into my core values. And one of my core values in the business is play at 100% and over deliver. So the whole team was like, yep, we're all in. Whatever it takes, bro. The whole team. But the problem's not the problem. If you went into the crisis without core values, it would have been a tougher time for you because you wouldn't have had things to lean on. Core values are a nice, fancy thing to have on the wall in good times, but it's in bad times when you freaking need them. And because times have been so good, it was like, oh, this core values thing, oh, that's a nicety. Well, now it's not such a nicety because it's the only reason that we are still rocking as a business is because I've been able to go, yep, we're going to lean on the core values, because in times of struggle, you need something around you to protect you from yourself, and that is your core values. And if I go one step further back, it's to give you context, every great society, organization, or team has a set of core values. We have the 10 Commandments. We have the Declaration of Independence. Every great team, society, or well-functioning group has a set of rules to stick by. And it's not like the owner imposing rules, it's the team having a set of rules to protect themselves from themselves. So that's been super helpful for me now. But that's my take on it. My take is we're going into an era where if you're a business owner and you think any sense of entitlement, and if you're an employee and you think that's not my job, you're in trouble.
I love it. So it's the people who really want to do something are going to get through this. I love something you've always said to me before is, done is better than perfect. And I think now it doesn't represent that any more than now. And it's really nice because I think we're going to go into an era where this polished professionalism is done. Like I really do think we're going to come into an era now, which is really, it is entrepreneur led, but it's also just human being led. It's people to people connection, although it's happening through more and more now the means of like what we're doing here, the webinars and online. I still think there's going to be a real element of people seeing through that and connecting with other people. What do you think people can do to help themselves be productive in this time, maybe? Because a lot of people are, I see a lot of people being very productive and getting to work, which is fantastic. And just like you said, when people turn around and say, well, it's not my job, well, then they're not going to succeed through it. And like you say, the market has changed. Listening to this now and going, okay, now I understand that I have to do something. The market has changed. Where do they start? What is in their control? What can they be doing to move towards creating something or sustaining whatever they're doing?
Yeah, okay. The first thing is it's a kind of twofold thing. Number one is environment is stronger than willpower. And if you rely too much heavily on yourself right now, and it's, I won't get religious on you now, but it's even like a Christian analogy in that, we are strong in our weakness when we rely on a higher power, in this case, if you're Christian, Jesus, and that you're leaning on something else other than relying on your own power. But from a community perspective, there's a book written called The Crash Course, and it's about times like this and how to survive them. And it specifically says your community is your single biggest asset right now, because you're either gonna stick around people who are all trying to go to a different place in their lives, or you're gonna watch the news. And boy, you watch that news, you're gonna feel like Armageddon is happening around you. Yeah. So you kind of want to create an environment around. So number one is your community, and then within that, if you're in the right community, in the right coaching group, I'm watching successful people carefully now. Here's what the successful people are doing. They're doubling down on coaching. Like, you know what? Like for me, so those who don't know this, first of all, a coach without a coach is not a coach. The first thing I ever ask any very successful business stage is, who are your mentors? And you'd be like, Red, do they all have mentors? Of course they have mentors. I recently toured with Robert Kiyosaki. Robert has coaches, many coaches. He spends like many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on coaching himself, and it might be emotional coaches, etc. So a coach without a coach, not a coach. But I would say, first of all, like even one of my one-on-one mentors, who I only really spoke to once a month, I'm speaking to her once a week now. Because environment, there's a couple, your immediate environment, and then there's like the world environment, and that's pretty strong force right now. So I've got to do more work on me, so I can better handle that, because that's not going away. And then I'm doubling down on some of my, if you will, my coaching groups that I'm involved in, and then I'm passing it on to my coaching group, and we're doing a call every single day, and we've got one-on-one stuff, and we're just upping the game. So again, that comes into same for my business. I used to be able to do what I used to do and grow my business, but it's different times. So I have to adapt. And I'm like, cool, we're doing a call every day. Cool, we're adding this. Cool, we're adding extra. So any sense of entitlement that you were able to just do what you did prior to this is going to end you up in trouble. It's not business as usual. It's different times. Okay, so what can they do? Number one, community. Number two, breathe. Breathe, because when stress goes up, intelligence goes down. When emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. So you want to be careful now, because there's a lot of emotion flying around. I did a video to my inner circle group on this. Wherever you've got the gift of being able to give yourself an extra night to sleep on it, or an extra person to run it by, or something like that, I think you should just, speed's important now, but if it's irrelevant whether you pull the trigger at 8 p.m. tonight or tomorrow morning, give yourself the extra night. So breathe, give yourself the extra night. And then I think I'll just say that there's never been, Tom, this is a big statement. I think that many of us will never, ever in our lifetimes experience what we're experiencing right now, ever, for the history of mankind. And if you look back at, again, I'm monitoring the successful people, and there's a whole bunch of people seeing this as a paid holiday, and I'm like, oof, you're in trouble. Because the government's propping this thing up for 3 months, and then they're going to pull the blanket, and no one's going to have jobs to go to, and no one's going to have. So if you are one of those people right now that are furloughed or whatever it is, now at the very least be working harder on yourself, and be offering your businesses that you work for help, because they're going to need it. It's not like every business is going to need it. So those are a couple of things I'd say. Work very hard on yourself right now. If it's a new skill set you need, now's the time. If you need to learn how to do online marketing, we have time. If you're going to learn to do property, now's the time. If you want to learn how to do stocks and trading, now's the time. So we're going to look back and go, I don't have enough time. Really, most of us are going to have 6 weeks to have learned a new skill set or something that's going to change. And I'll leave you with this. Not leave you with this, but this is the thing that's going through my head: is, will I look back at this phase and be proud of what I did? Like, I want you to ask yourself that question now. Like, it scares me. That phrase scares me. Will I look back at this phase right now, and the temptation that's harder to work at home, and the weather's starting to get nice, and etc., and some of you on paid salaries at home, etc., listen to this. Will you look back at this brief moment in history, potentially the only time in the history of mankind, where you're going to have an unprecedented 4 weeks to learn a new skill, learn a new trade, go have done whatever, not do what the masses are doing, do the opposite of the masses, as in double down and give extra value? Are you going to be able to look back at this time history and go, I'm proud of the way I responded to that moment? Because that scares me, that sentence.
So true. Something I write every day is, today is not repeated tomorrow. And it's become so much more pertinent right now in this time, because we do have, as much as we do have the time to double down and work, I do have now the time to sit on the sofa for an hour with my wife and converse, which was actually rare time before. So it's nice to be able to have more time to do more stuff, but also more time to connect.
Yeah.
Which is superb.
It's interesting. I've realized that playing a game. We go for a walk every day, my wife and I and 2 kids, and then we've been playing a game. You know, what has we learned? What have we learned from this time that we really like? And one of the things that we learned, one of the things I learned is that it's like I can still be productive at home. That's one of my lessons. Another one is that, you know, we go for a walk every single day at about 3:30 now at the moment, and I'm basically, we kind of have a breakfast every day. And I had this before. I had this sense that I needed to jump. I do work a lot from home, and I'm very free. I'm non-operational in most of my businesses, etc. So I'm very blessed. That's why I say my life hasn't changed much. But I still had this urge to feel like I had to get into the office, for instance, to connect. And there are other ways to connect with my team, and we being so productive. So for me, it was like you just said, and like Nat and I, we haven't walked every single day for quite a while, you know. And this is like, all of a sudden I've got the time. But for me specifically, it's this: I've got the same amount of time. It's just the perception of it now, and I don't have anywhere else to run away to, if you will, to think like I have to be there. So that was my lesson from it now, is like, actually, you know what? It was all bullshit. I was telling myself, I can go for a walk every day. I can do this, whatever. Yes, I'm still working my bum off. Don't believe me, like I'm working, probably be more productive in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last year. But you understand the processes. I like what you said there, is because it's really been a lesson in certain other areas too.
Appreciate that. Ryan, you've been fantastic. I really, really appreciate the wisdom that you shared with our audience. I know they're going to get a lot from it. Can you tell them where they can currently get hold of you? Because I certainly give my accolades for you as a coach and a mentor, and you are in several different areas. So if you could just maybe tell people where they can get hold of you, and then we'll see.
Yeah, cool. I have a YouTube channel. And they can subscribe to that. I'd really appreciate that. And then if you go to my website called dcpracticegrowth.com, and I've got quite a few free resources on there. You know, I'd always say to everyone, just grab our free book. The book is free. You just pay for the postage and the shipping and get it across to you. That's always a nice place to start. But yeah, my YouTube channel. Go to my website, and if you can grab one of the free resources and it helps you, that would always be the first place I'd start if you enjoyed any of what we spoke about today.
Brilliant. And we'll obviously put links to that in the show notes. Ryan, have you got any passing words that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I just think these are unprecedented times that require you to become a better person and bigger person, and surround yourself with bigger, better people and resources. So don't underestimate that. The environment is stronger than willpower. Double down on support wherever you can right now. Listening to, I want you to ask yourself that question: is, when you look back at this time, would you be able to look back and say that you were proud of the achievements and potential life-altering things you did in this time? That's what I'll leave you with.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome.
Awesome.